Lewis Hamilton, a name once synonymous with unparalleled dominance and a relentless pursuit of perfection, found himself navigating an unfamiliar and deeply unsettling landscape. The celebrated champion, whose 7 world titles had etched his legacy into the very foundations of Formula One, was now a king dethroned, his crown heavy with the dust of a disastrous season. The year 2025 had become a nightmare, a cruel twist of fate that saw his much-anticipated move to Ferrari culminate not in glory, but in an ignominious struggle. The whispers that had followed his switch, once hopeful, now carried a bitter undertone of regret and schadenfreude. The new ground effect car, a marvel of engineering on paper, proved to be a beast untamed on the track. It bucked and twitched. A capricious machine that defied every command, every subtle input from the master driver. Lap after lap, race after race, it refused to cooperate, transforming what should have been a triumphant march towards an unprecedented 8th championship into a frustrating public decline. Each missed apex, each underperforming sector chipped away at his formidable reputation, leaving him exposed to the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The weight of expectation was crushing. The world watched, aghast as the legend faltered. Whispers of retirement grew louder, echoing in the paddock and across social media. Pundits, once reverent, now spoke of his waning years, of a career past its prime. The pressure was immense, a suffocating blanket of doubt that threatened to extinguish the competitive fire that had always burned so brightly within him. Yet, beneath the veneer of public stoicism, a tempest raged. Frustration gnawed at him, a constant companion. Self-doubt, an unwelcome intruder, began to creep into his thoughts, questioning every decision, every instinct. But amidst the turmoil, a flicker remained, a stubborn, defiant ember of hope that refused to be extinguished. Behind the scenes, away from the prying eyes of the media and the relentless speculation, something was stirring. There were hushed conversations, late-night calls, and clandestine meetings. A hidden agenda was taking shape, a secret mission born out of desperation and an unyielding will to reclaim what was lost. The very car he drove, the Ferrari SF25, felt like a personal betrayal, a metallic monster that mocked his efforts, refusing to bend to his will. It was a machine that had promised greatness but delivered only despair, a silent conspirator in his public humiliation. Yet even in the deepest troughs of despair, the seed of redemption was being sown. A new path, a different machine was being explored, shrouded in secrecy. It was a gamble, a desperate roll of the dice, but one that Lewis Hamilton, the fallen king, knew he had to take. The world might have written him off, but he was far from finished. The story of his comeback, he knew, would be written not on the track of 2025, but in the clandestine workshops and test tracks where a new chapter was quietly, meticulously being crafted. The true battle, he understood, was only just beginning. The secretive nature of Formula One often birthed legends, and now it was nurturing a resurgence. Whispers began to circulate about a clandestine 5-day test session held in Barcelona, away from the prying eyes of the world, between January 26th and 30th. This wasn't for the current struggling machine, but for the elusive 2026 car. A blank slate, a promise of a new beginning. The reports that trickled out were deliberately vague, a masterclass in misdirection. Lap times were mentioned in hushed tones, always followed by caveats about testing conditions and experimental setups, and designed to obscure rather than reveal. Yet for those close enough to observe, a subtle shift was perceptible. Insiders, those few privileged individuals present at the Montmeló circuit, noticed a quiet transformation in Hamilton. The furrowed brow, the constant tension that had become his signature during the 2025 season began to ease. A faint, almost imperceptible smile would occasionally grace his lips, a private moment of satisfaction that spoke volumes more than any official press release. It was the smile of a man rediscovering a lost connection, a driver finding harmony with a machine once more. This unseen smile became a beacon, a silent testament to the potential unfolding behind closed garage doors. The rumour mill, ever active in the F1 paddock, began to hum with a new, more optimistic tune. Speculation mounted, hushed conversations among engineers and rival team principals hinted at something significant. "He looks different," one anonymous source was quoted as saying, "more like the old Lewis." Others spoke of the car's responsiveness, its willingness to obey commands, a stark contrast to the recalcitrant beast of 2025. The buzz grew, fueled by the very secrecy that surrounded the test, inflating expectations and sparking a nascent hope. For Hamilton himself, this secret test ignited a powerful spark. It was a glimmer, a tangible flicker of hope in the overwhelming darkness of his recent career. The belief that his journey was not over, that his prime was not irrevocably behind him, began to solidify. With each precise corner, each perfectly executed overtake against phantom rivals, the self-doubt that had plagued him receded, replaced by a fierce determination. This wasn't merely about driving, it was about vindication. The internal battle within him, a silent war against the voices of doubt and the spectre of retirement, began to shift. The call to arms was clear. He had to prove them wrong. He had to reclaim his narrative, not just for himself, but for the unwavering fans who had endured his struggles alongside him. The memory of the 2025 car, a machine that felt like a betrayal, now served as a powerful motivator. He remembered the feeling of disconnect, the frustration that bordered on despair. And then it happened. During one particular run, as the 2026 car carved through the long, sweeping turns of Barcelona, a feeling washed over him, a sensation he hadn't experienced in what felt like an eternity. It was the feeling of absolute control, of the machine responding to his every thought, his every nuanced input. The car felt alive, an extension of his will, not an adversary. A surge of pure, unadulterated joy coursed through him, a private, unshared victory. This was the first taste of triumph, a stark and exhilarating contrast to the recent bitterness, a powerful affirmation that the champion was not merely returning but being reborn. The carefully guarded secret of Hamilton's renewed spirit found its explosive release in a public confession that sent shockwaves through the Formula One world. He spoke with an almost childlike glee, a stark contrast to the guarded, weary statements of the previous year. The 2026 car, he declared, was more enjoyable and more fun. Words that resonated deeply, carrying the weight of his recent struggles. His eyes, once clouded with frustration, now sparkled with an infectious enthusiasm, painting a vivid picture of a man reconnected with his passion. He elaborated on the vehicle's characteristics, describing the SF26's handling as remarkably sharper than its predecessor. This wasn't merely technical jargon, it was a visceral comparison, highlighting the dramatic shift from a cumbersome, unpredictable beast to a precise, responsive instrument. The 2025 car, with its inherent instability and baffling ground effect issues, had felt like wrestling a wild animal. The 2026 model, however, was a dancer, gracefully obeying his every command. This sharp turn in performance, he conveyed, was not just about lap times, but about the sheer pleasure of driving, a joy that had been conspicuously absent. What the public had interpreted as resignation or a quiet acceptance of his fate during the prior season was, in fact, a carefully guarded secret of satisfaction. His reserved demeanour at the secret test wasn't born of indifference, but from the immense responsibility of holding such a pivotal truth. He had been nurturing a burgeoning hope, a future where his skills would once again align perfectly with his machinery. This was not the quiet retreat of a champion past his prime, but the strategic silence of a warrior preparing for battle, honing his weapon in secret. His newfound enthusiasm wasn't just a casual remark, it was a promise, a clear sign of his unwavering intent to reclaim his lost glory. The fire in his eyes, the conviction in his voice spoke volumes of a man ready to silence his critics, to proved to the world that the whispers of his decline were premature. This was the promise of vengeance, not born of malice, but of a profound desire for vindication, for the restoration of his rightful place at the pinnacle of motorsport. Every word he uttered was a challenge, a declaration that the king was not merely returning, but was coming back with a renewed, formidable hunger. The public's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Shock gave way to excitement. Doubt transformed into fervent anticipation. Social media exploded with discussions, pundits revised their predictions, and fans who had watched their hero struggle now dared to dream again. The narrative shifted from a sombre farewell to a thrilling comeback story, a testament to Hamilton's enduring appeal and the sheer magnetism of his journey. The F1 landscape, which had seemed so predictable with his struggles, was suddenly infused with an electrifying uncertainty, a tantalizing prospect of a legendary resurgence. The implications of this revelation rippled across the sport, setting the stage for an electrifying future. And the upcoming seasons were no longer just another championship race, they were the arena for Hamilton's ultimate redemption. His candid confession had not only reignited his own career, but had breathed new life into the entire spectacle of Formula One. The focus was no longer on his age or past disappointments, but on the potent synergy between a proven master and a car designed to unleash his full potential. And so the champion, who many had prematurely written off, stood poised at the precipice of a new era. His spirit, far from being broken, had been forged anew in the fires of adversity. The impending revenge he sought was not just against his competitors, but against the very notion of his own decline. Lewis Hamilton, the unwavering spirit, the relentless competitor, was not just returning to Formula One, he was coming back with an unshakable resolve, a testament to his enduring greatness, ready to etch another indelible chapter into the annals of motorsport history, leaving the audience with a sense of immense anticipation for what was undeniably to come.